Radio? Radio? Radio check. Radio. Checking, 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 checking. Yeah, nothing not working.
150, tactical off-road racing. $150, tactical off-road racing.
Lost his feed. You talking? Is he talking?
No, because he's waiting for me to leave. In fact, Simon could tell you, he was driving through, you don't see where he did his lap yesterday.
So let's see if we can grab a few words with them before all the competitors arrive.
Morning.
Morning, Nobby. And how would you say the event's going?
Absolutely brilliant, fantastic. Everybody's laughing, joking, smiling. Really tough course. Martin's pulled it out of the bag. With his design, phenomenal. Really, really good.
Brilliant. Okay, and what are we expecting to see today? We've got a few competitors, I think, put in a full 10 laps yesterday. And we've got a few down on probably 7-8 laps who stand a chance of still making the 150.
Yeah, so we got Mark Dean, the Littricks coming up now. He's first done 10 laps yesterday. His co-driver missed a couple of punches. Very, very keen. He walked the course last night trying to find them. Complete dedication.
That's what you want to see for sure, isn't it? You know, that kind of dedication.
Yeah, Faria's close behind. They had all 30 punches, so he's hard to be on his tail as well.
So that's interesting. So he's behind on time, but he's got more punches.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so we've got to see Mark get more fun, fill in the rest of his punches, but Farias could be onto some easier ones.
Yeah, it all depends how they can go around now and pick their punches and go for the easy ones and save on time. Farias being a Farias, they know exactly what they're doing. For the Winch Challenge, they remember where the easy ones are and they'll be picking them up as they go.
And I see the Can-Am from Shabs, is that coming up third?
On it as well. Shabs doing really, really well. Third place overnight, which is really good.
So he stands a chance of being in there as well.
But look, you look at the range of cars, you've got a big monster there, you've got a diesel, and you've got a Can-Am. You can't get anything right than that. I must go because...
Yeah, we'll let you go, Nobby. Thanks, Nobby. So as Nobby was saying, you've got a big V8 monster there in first place, sort of diesel, more challenge truck in second place, side by side in third place. So, that really shows how this event levels the field amongst the different vehicle types, which is what a lot of the competitors love. While Paul's getting some footage there, I'm here with Ed from Terra Firma. How are you? Yeah, very, very good, Ed, thank you. And you?
Oh, it's great to be in Wales in the sunshine, isn't it?
Well, that's it. We've had a bit of a mixed bag over the last couple of days, but it's definitely better today.
It was cooler yesterday. I think good for the competitors. Probably a little bit easier on the cars. Last year it was 30 degrees.
Yeah, definitely.
Really hard on the cars and the drivers and co-drivers.
Well, that's it. Watching some of the co-drivers working in that kind of heat on the hills.
Yeah,
Definitely hard work.
but the amount of mud on the cars this year, that's also taking its toll, isn't it? Loading the cars up with all that additional weight, and then the resistance on the vehicles powering up some of these massive hills here.
Well, that's it. We've seen a bit of. Yeah, we were just talking before we went live about the difference between some of the tyre types, how some of them come through the mud and other ones are really solid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think you can do much without an aggressive tyre here this weekend. Whereas if it were drier, some of the more the less aggressive tyres, could be an advantage. But definitely you got to have, very aggressive mud tyres.
Yeah, we definitely saw it at Pristine 2 years ago and at this site last year where the side-by-sides really ripped. But I think in the deeper mud, they're struggling a bit more.
Yeah. One thing I noticed yesterday, the different styles of cars, how they can navigate themselves to the punches so much easier. The cars that are used for the challenges and the speed events aren't leaving the line there. Probably blotted our sound out there, but some of the bigger cars struggling to get to the punches, but they're obviously quicker on the ground.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were watching some of the difficult points, and we saw, I think it was one of Curtin Signs drive one of the more difficult sections, just followed by one of the Can-Ams. It really sort of starts to level stuff out.
Yeah.
So,
it's great.
Many cars in the field here with your kit on them?
Well, it's interesting. Over the last 3 or 4 years, we've really seen a huge increase, and it's everything from bump stops to shock absorbers, all the recovery kit, and obviously we don't have a high-speed winch. Those things are dominated by Eagle Pin and Red Winch, but
it's a pretty specialist market, though, isn't it? It's not a volume thing. So.
And of course, our business is predominantly Land Rover accessories, but we're doing a lot more in the competition scene, and we see this as a big flag waving exercise. And it's great to walk through the pits last night and see so many people sitting on their terra firma chairs.
Yeah, I've seen terra firma tents. No, it's
something for everybody. And barrier tape.
Yeah.
There must be 6 kilometres of barrier tape.
Well, I think there's a couple of 1,000 kilometres of barrier tape out there, there's sort of rolls and rolls of it coming out the back of the setup cars.
Yeah, no, it's great. And, there's a lot of terra firma suspension being used on a lot of these trucks, particularly the challenge trucks, which I like to see.
Well, that's it. I've seen a lot of guys running the coilovers and the bump stops, and that seems to be a growing market. I think 10 years ago it was hard, rare to see a car with coilovers in this kind of event. Now it seems that everybody's running coilovers, bump stops, second shocks.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's the way that the competition particularly has evolved. Somebody becomes a bit of a trendsetter with a certain vehicle setup, and then a lot of other people follow it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think, when you see some of the challenge trucks going around these courses, these are not cars that are only able to do 20, 30 miles an hour like maybe they were 20, 15 years ago. These are cars that are still putting on some serious pace on the open sections.
Yeah, definitely. And, there's a large proportion of challenge trucks powered by TD5 engines, and they're pushing out 200 plus horsepower, with 37 and 40 inch. It's surprising the turn of speed they do achieve, particularly on the big long hills.
Yeah, definitely. And funny you should say that at this moment, as we're the next 2 cars lined up on the start line there, TD5 powered on 37-inch tyres.
Yeah. And both in the top 6 in the in the event.
Yeah, it does go to show in this event you don't need a 500 horsepower LS to be at the front of the field.
No, that's for sure. No, it's great. And, it's good to be here. This is the second year we've supported the Welsh 150. We get a lot out of it. I think the fact that, we have representation here, chatting to the competitors and getting amongst it. Nobby and Di have hosted me really well this weekend, taking me around the course. I've been able to see pretty much every part of it.
I was going to ask about that. I mean, it's a big site here. It's quite difficult to get around.
Yeah.
And, you've been able to see all the different
almost all of it. We've got another winch section, which I'm sure we'll take in today. But we've been going from incident to incident, and so yes, we have been able to see the hot spots for sure.
Yeah, well, I think we stumbled across a couple of rolls and things like that, but everybody's been okay. No injuries, which is always the important thing.
Now, this is my favourite vehicle. Of course, going back to my day when I was doing winch challenges back in probably the late 90s, early 2000s, and Tony built this car. I didn't actually see this one compete, but I competed with Tony. in challenge events in his other Mercedes.
And I think of years ago, this car's won this event, hasn't it?
I think it won most.
Yeah, we'll probably get our feet cut off in a minute if the guys pull up to the line. But we'll see on Paul's camera in a minute the car we're talking about. But this is a stainless tube-framed, bodied G-Wagon based machine built by Tony Baskerville probably nearly 20 years ago.
Well, yeah,
2000s,
easily. And Dave Needham was Tony's co-driver back in the day.
Yeah.
I went and said hi to him, and both of us sort of looked at each other and then to say, "I'm sure we do know each other," but it could be 25 years ago when we last competed together.
Yeah, probably.
And now we've got the car is driven by, I think, Tony's grandson.
Yeah,
James, and he's one of the youngest drivers. Dave is one of the oldest co-drivers who swears blind he's doing it just to keep fit.
Yeah, I think he does swear blind. I mean, we were on a punch section yesterday, and certainly the words coming out of Dave's mouth are not fit for airing. But he was complaining that he was starting to feel the pain a little bit when co-driving.
This is
such
tough.
a rough side. There you go. So on the camera feed, you can see James and David. They're lined up in the G-Wagon. Awesome bit of kit, fabulous piece of engineering. But unfortunately, they've had to remove all the silencers due to overheating this weekend.
Yeah, the exhaust is straight out of the manifolds on both sides.
Straight out.
440 horsepower Mercedes V8 engine,
and it's about to cut us off, I suspect, on the audio when these guys take off.
Those trapdoors up.
How old is James? You said he's one of the youngest drivers.
I think he's 20.
Brilliant to see guys like that out.
Yeah.
We bumped into another couple of guys we'll see come up at first proper event of this type.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what 450 horsepower of Mercedes V8 sounds like with no silencers. Brilliant bit of kit.
Yeah, that's great. And Nick Bolton is Toyota Land Cruiser. I don't know what engine he's got in that LS, I think.
Yeah, he used to have a Lexus in it, didn't
Oh, maybe it is a Lexus, yeah. Well, it would make sense to keep it in the Toyota group.
But again, a truck that's been around for a while now in various guises, constantly redeveloped.
Interesting how, these trucks are, 20 plus years old and that have evolved, been upgraded and updated, mostly in terms of horsepower and suspension, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, if I remember correctly, Nick's probably one who started out on the challenge scene, rebuilt the car for speed and competed in Ultra 4 and now is really doing well in these mixed format events where you can use both of those skill sets.
I like these mixed format events. I think, it combines such a lot. You're less likely to struggle for entries if you've got something that's varied a bit for everybody, and there's a standard looking defender coming up to the line now. Can't be ashamed of his position. He's still running on Sunday when half the field are probably
what is he, top 10? I've lost count of how many cars off the line
there, definitely middle of the field today.
Yeah, and it goes to show that you've got to, like you say, what's basically still a Land Rover.
I wouldn't say slow and steady wins today, but slow and steady keeps you in the game. And you're getting your money's worth, and the whole weekend's entertainment.
Well, that's it. We've seen some of the top trucks fall out in the first lap or two with breakage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and as event organisers and as a sponsor, you want as many people to get through the weekend, have a really, really good time. These guys don't come to win it; they come to have a good weekend, don't they?
Well, that's it. It's about value for money. It's about enjoyment. We took a turn around the pits last night as Nick Bolt goes off the line there. Brilliant sounding car. We took a turn around the pits last night, and it's amazing. You've got guys tearing the cars apart. You get guys sat having a barbecue.
Yeah,
sort of both ends of the spectrum in terms of how much work they've got to do. Yeah, everybody was smiling.
A lot of gearbox and transfer box problems yesterday, which aren't 5-minute fixes for anybody.
No, we saw at least 3 cars with gearboxes.
Yeah, Terry Kirby Signs put transfer box in yesterday afternoon and still managed to get out and do a couple of laps, I think, yesterday. Simon Ward and James Watts, sorted the gearbox fault out with their vehicle yesterday, and they're going out today.
But then we've seen Duncan Smith and Paul Rowlands out with gearbox issues.
I don't know what happened with Paul Rowlands. I mean, just the gearbox was clattering trying to engage, which is quite unusual on one of those cars, I think.
Yeah, I think he lost forward drive from what he was saying.
Yeah.
But it surprised me. I mean, he's a guy who put some dollar into it, and is normally quite well prepared in
Yeah.
terms of spares.
Yeah.
So I'm
Absolutely.
sort of
Well,
half
new,
expecting
the
that
car-
car to see that car
Come
rebuilt back out.
We'll run another one.
Yeah, well, we were told by timing that that's not allowed, but we
Okay.
thought maybe they'd just peel the
Make an
stickers off,
exception.
bring out the spare
Put the
car.
dirty panels on a new car.
Yeah, exactly. A nice situation to be in.
Yeah. Oh, it's properly warm now. I mean, I don't know what are we?
8:30.
8:30. And
I'm beginning to regret my choice to have a jumper on.
Yeah. Well, it says it's 6 degrees, but it can't be. It must be more than that.
Oh, there you go.
12 degrees. But the sunshine's gorgeous.
Well, that's it. We're up high. The sky's clear.
You see
Yeah,
for
that looks
miles.
great, yeah.
Absolutely, you see for miles.
Give us a pan shot round, Paul. Give us a pan shot round, Paul. Let's see what the scenery looks like in the sunshine.
Amazing, isn't it? I was so fortunate to be able to come here. You know, I can't help feeling, and I don't know the story, but I'm sure Paul Rowlands has bought this farm specifically so all his friends.
I did wonder whether he rode it into the poor farmer who gets his ground torn up.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it gives us such a variety of terrain. Everything from woodland, bogs, fast open hillsides. I mean, yesterday morning, or no, qualifying, they were talking about Bluebell Hill being greasy as anything. Now it's nice two dusty ruts going up the hillside there. We're really pushing the horsepower.
Yeah, exactly. And then on the flip side of that, we've got one of the gullies down in Challenge Area 3 where they had to park a digger at the top of it because it was getting so cut out.
Yeah.
And there was nowhere to winch off, and the guys were really struggling.
But even the parterre mate is spongy. Compared to last year with bone dry, wasn't it? Couldn't even get a tent peg in.
What I love is that, you know, this site isn't used for anything else other than these sort of events. I think they've got 3 events at this site through the year. And you know, it's not something you can come and do a play day at or a sort of lower level event. You know, the only time you get to drive on this site is by doing one of these events.
Yeah, and I was surprised actually how well it had recovered from last year. I know it's a whole year, you know, and the grass grows, but you know, it really is unmarked from last year. There's no evidence of what you know this event last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, there's people who complain about sort of scarring the ground, but there's no sign of that when you walk around the site before the cars came out.
This isn't ground you can harrow or get on with a machine.
No, definitely. I'm just hearing over my director feed here that we've got multiple feeds out now on the live stream. We're seeing cars already stuck in some of the challenge areas, trying to get those last punches. As Nobby was saying, some of the teams were actually out last night walking the course trying to find the punches that they hadn't been able to find while driving around. That's real dedication, especially when you actually see the terrain here firsthand. To imagine doing that day on the race course and then walking the site afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you were spending 3 hours after the course closed at 6:30 repairing your car that you're then going to go out and try and find markers in the dark. But these punches are identified with pink tape, and it's not always possible to see them when they're on a tree that's off the course. So they do need to get, especially after they've done a few laps.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, just to explain to some of the viewers at home, these challenge areas, these aren't sort of taped off sort of 50-40 metre squares. We've got sort of 3 kilometres of course that's widened out to indicate a challenge area, so you really can.
Yeah, and once you've done, you know, like some of the lead cars have done how many? 20 punches yesterday? 20, 30 punches?
Yeah, it would have been 30 punches. 10 laps.
There's 30 in total, isn't there?
Yeah.
So if let's say you've got 25 punches and you've only got a couple of laps to do, you've got to follow punches. So somehow you need to know where they are. Otherwise, you're into penalties.
Exactly. And just to explain a little bit more about that, if you've got all 30 punches, you've got the easy punches and you've got the hard punches. If you've only got 25 punches, those last 5 punches could be the ones that take you half an hour, 40 minutes, and really hammer those lap times. Yeah. Whereas the guys who've got 30 punches could be now getting a punch that might only take 2 or 3 minutes, almost just drive in, get the clip, pull out and carry on with a fast lap.
Yeah, this is an endurance event. You know, it's also known as tactical off-road racing. So you've got to be prepared to put a bit of extra effort in, keep your eyes open, keep the co-driver alert, you know, and it's not just sat there for the ride. And
yeah, definitely.
I know.
It's not an easy life.
No, it's not.
It's not these days.
It's not like opening and closing a gate on a green lane.
Well, no, exactly. And as well, you wonder what the co-drivers are doing other than screaming left and right. But here the guys are putting in some serious mileage on some serious terrain.
I remember, back in the day.
You sound like an old man.
I am an old man. That my co-driver Tim, would win us an event. Literally his effort, his willingness to get stuck in. I mean, there were events where he was swimming, events where he's mountain climbing, running. We'd even have to answer questions, and he was the best all-rounder. He understood winching. I mean, some of these guys today, they are, properly in-demand co-drivers because of their ability.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see them wearing sort of, more specialist footwear.
They are rugby boots and things like that.
Custom studs and things like that.
Yeah.
I remember when we used to race out in Eastern Europe, and there wasn't even a case of sort of mud sidelines on the co-driver for the Moose team at that time, Tony.
Sure.
He'd been under the water in the swamps, moving the winch lines out and things like that.
So here's these guys the cars that have managed to repair overnight.
Yeah, so I saw those guys were changing a transmission, was that right?
Well, they hold the automatic gearbox sump. So it took them a bit of a time to figure out what had gone on because the oil had disappeared. It wasn't all messy underneath. Anyway, they managed to borrow a sump, get it repaired last night, drove it up and down the Park Fairmay, and it's running. And so it's just a case of, will it last today? Simon Ward, the driver of the Alpha 4x4 car with James Watts as a co-driver. We know James really well. He's a very, very competent engineer, knows his stuff. They were swapping diffs and shafts on Friday night to get ready for the qualifying.
Well, that's really interesting because these guys were third here last year.
Yeah.
So they've got the base, they've got the form. Nick Watts, as you were saying about co-drivers, hugely experienced co-driver. So interesting to see them struggling a little bit mechanically this year. I would have thought that car was a little bit more. They know the car,
definitely, and I think the combination of driver and co-driver in that car, if they can hold it together today, could catch up a few places.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're down in probably 12th, 13th place. I wonder from our director team, how many laps have those guys done? See if we get that information back. Two laps. Yeah, so I think they can only do 7 laps today. Is that the max they're allowed to put in on this session?
I don't know.
Yeah, so it's unlikely they can make the 150, unfortunately.
They got till 3 o'clock to. I don't think they'll get the 150, but I think it's a place that you could still get a place.
Oh, I've just heard over the radio that they lost the turbo on their second lap, which means that they lose that lap and they lost the gearbox later on. But they have still put in 4 laps. I think that was.
Wow. Well, that's why some of these trucks in the Park Fairmay are so big. If they're bringing transmissions, spare turbos, full toolkits, awnings, the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, they're proper race setups, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, people underestimate, I think, the spares you need to bring. It's almost like you need to bring a whole car because you can never estimate or, anticipate what's going to go wrong. And you look at these cars, they're all custom built. I mean, these are custom fabricated from the ground up vehicles. So a lot of the kit on them is very specialist. We'll see cars with D2 axles and Nissan axles, and there'll be a bit of shared kit. I was watching messages go around about, can I borrow, last night.
I know yesterday that there were turbos being lent from one team to another, and as they expired for other reasons, the turbo was then doing the rounds. It's like, probably still hot by the time it was bolted on the third car.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the guys we were talking to, they borrowed a steering ram off Goodwinch. I saw another message going on about a Bosch fuel pump.
I'm sure it all comes out in the wash.
So this car here, it's 9 laps. So they must be sort of starting out of order. I don't know who these guys are, but another sort of challenge looking car, isn't it?
I mean, thankfully, the starting order is a bit of a formality today, isn't it?
Well, that's it. I can see one of the trucks we were talking to last night who were frantically spammering on it, still in the pits there. So hopefully they can get out.
Yeah, look at these tyres on this car.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about this last night.
Are these kind of Brazilian...
Brazilian, is it Land Dragons or something
like that?
Yeah.
Side lugs on them. astronomical.
I mean, you can literally get your hand between the sidelines. Can't you? I mean, absolutely monstrous.
You can drive over the wildlife without risk of killing it with those.
Well, that's it. You know, there's no risk of damaging fauna and fauna with
They
us.
must be out of sync as well. I think they were circulating very well yesterday.
Yeah, it did seem to be.
And it was interesting yesterday as well. We spoke to a couple of teams that were here for the first time, first event, new car.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to take your hat off to them because this is a baptism of fire. It's not like just a one-day play in the woods, is it?
No, exactly. We were talking to a team of young guys and girls, and they bought the truck to do some challenge events, and having had just a sort of modified 90, and someone explained what this event was and encouraged them to go and enter, and they were absolutely loving it. They were absolutely blown away by the format, the trade, the other competitors. Yeah, and it's great to see new blood coming into the sport like
absolutely, absolutely. And it's not cheap. You know, you got to leave Thursday or first thing Friday morning, get up 2 days of working week and a whole weekend.
Yeah.
You know, you need a tow vehicle. These aren't vehicles that you turn up on the road. They're all trailered or brought in their trucks. You know, you do need a certain amount of spares. It's an investment as well. A co-driver who's willing to get dirty all weekend. You know, most of the guys are camping. I don't know that many people are disappearing off to swanky hotels in the evenings.
I think some of the sort of sponsors are maybe, but
I don't know what you mean. It wasn't swanky, let me tell you. At 12:20 when somebody's trying to get into my room.
yeah, maybe not so fast then. Yeah. So it's Georgina Smith on the start line, number 10. So was that 4 laps they've done, I think?
That's really warming up. It's going to be a gorgeous day.
Roasting to death. See, one of the cars here, we went round the pits last night and explained that if you want to shout out, you need to clean your numbers.
Yeah, definitely.
So, here we are,
Thankfully,
he's
cleaned the sponsor stickers as well, very
kindly.
kindly.
He's cleaned his Terra Firma stickers, he's cleaned his number 25.
That's one thing that is on the cars. On all the cars is the Terra Firma stickers.
There you go.
Thankful of that.
Well, that's nice when you've got, a car that's running a competitor suspension to know that it's plastered in Terra Firma.
That one looks like that's got Terra Firma suspension on it, even muddy from here.
I was going to say, I can spot that.
Yeah, that's got Terra Firma air shocks on it. Interestingly, more air shocks in this event than I've seen in most of this type of format event. Many people running bypass and coilovers.
Yeah, I saw
a lot of our bump stops being used, which is good.
Interesting. We were talking this car last night in the pits, and these guys they've got a lot of distance still to go. They've got 11 laps still to cover.
Oh, wow.
So their strategy today apparently is to miss all punches and push for the 150 and see if they can at least get on the.
I guess there's an accolade for achieving the 150 kilometres, but obviously the penalties for not doing punches, will count against them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it adds up to an hour and 10 a lap if you don't do any of the punches.
Was it as much as that? Yeah, of course.
Which, considering that some of the faster cars are putting in a 30-minute lap, and we're seeing guys come in sort of 45, 49 minutes who've done all the punches.
Yeah. Mark Dean and Shabs particularly circulating quickly, including doing punches yesterday. I saw laps in the 20-minute mark. Here's another quick driver just coming up, particularly. Might not necessarily be out of order because he was repairing the car yesterday.
Oh, yeah, so this is Kirby Signs coming up.
Yeah. Terry Furlong from Kirby Signs.
Yeah. Well, just heard the radio
that is co-driving.
That car 25, that's a Volkswagen diesel 1.9 powered.
Yeah, I noticed the Volkswagen
so it's
on the bonnet yesterday.
Yeah, it's sort of lighter weight build compared to a lot of the cars.
More of a trial challenge truck.
Yeah, the weight definitely. It's sort of halfway between the side-by-sides and the full-size machines in terms of weight and power. Yeah, so here we are, the furlongs.
You get the gearing right, the horsepower's there. It's surprising what you can do with
that's
small
it.
engine.
I think you can tune those Volkswagens up to sort of knocking on the door 200 horsepower from a 1.9 and impressive bits of kit.
Yeah, which is up there with the TD5, and if you're starting with an economical base, then you can spend a bit of money on the tuning.
Yeah. So 34 here. I mean, these guys have done very well in the past, but they were changing a transfer box last night.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. One thing interests me with this car, I mean, it's a full-size off-road race car, and Terry, supports most events, most championships. He's out all the time. Really committed to the off-road motorsport.
Like I say, I've seen him in Ultra 4, I've seen him in dirt.
Yeah,
obviously in the Welsh events.
Yeah, he's doing a bit of everything.
Yeah, that's certainly a way to get your money's worth.
Well, it's people like that love their motorsport that encourages organisers and sponsors to get involved
exactly.
and
I
put
mean,
events
if you know you're going to get some floor entries and guys like that, it's more worthwhile putting on a.
competitive too.
Yeah, but this is the interesting thing. Only 4 laps completed yesterday, so they're obviously challenging.
Mechanicals, yeah.
Struggling with some of the conditions in terms of holding the car together.
And this is
So this is our last car apparently heading up.
is this Mickey? Oh no.
Okay, so this is.
Oh no, I think it might be
So this is the.
Mickey Riley. They had mechanicals yesterday.
Yeah.
Flames coming out underneath. I saw yesterday.
Yeah, the number 1 car of the Riley. I think I saw them tearing that down in the pits last night.
They had alternator drive belt failure, things like that. I think. And
That's when you say about full-size cars, this is the sort of top end of the gear
it's
at the moment.
It's a quick car.
Eurofighter chassis, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
LS engine.
LS, yeah. Probably minimum 400 horsepower, maybe more. Some of these LS engines are pushing 650 horsepower.
650 horsepower in a field on mud tyres.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Strikes me as pretty serious.
Yeah.
So I think these guys had either the transfer box or the gearbox out of it last night.
Did they?
Like you was mentioning, it was alternator problems. So yeah, it worked really hard to get the car back together. It's great to see that effort.
Chatting to a lot of the teams over the last few years, there's this trade-off between horsepower and reliability. There's always something in the drivetrain that's going to suffer.
Well, I think that's right. I don't know whether it was this car or another car, but running Spider Track's axles, and the axles alone on that car would be worth more than some of the complete builds for some of the other competitors.
Many of these guys have got tens of thousands of pounds invested in their race cars, and then even more when you consider the support vehicles.
But that's it. You need a tow truck, you need a trailer, you've got, like you mentioned earlier, spares. You can see down in the pits there's plenty of caravans and motorhomes.
I know, it's huge commitment, but they love it. It's it's their thing.
Oh, hang on a minute, we've got
this is an interesting vehicle coming to the start line. This is a side-by-side
Polaris,
with a Suzuki Jimny body on it, and I think it's really cool.
I really like it.
Yeah.
I've always liked it. SJ.
And these guys from Ireland. I think they come from Ireland.
Well, Paul Bass is co-driving, isn't he?
Oh, is he? Okay. Paul Bass, that's a name from the past.
I was going to say another hugely experienced co-driver from the challenge scene.
Yeah. Giant of a man in a little car.
I was going to say, I was surprised he managed to fold his way in there. We've watched on the start feed as these guys come up, and it's quite comical to see them in the nice compact car.
They are entertaining. I know yesterday when they passed us out on the course that Nobby was giving him a wave and Paul was giving him the bird.
I think that's the only way we can word that on the live feed. But Paul's definitely a man who's full of humour.
Few gestures.
Just hearing over the feed here that we got plenty of other cameras showing on the live feed, showing the other technical sites out on the wider area.
I think yesterday they lost front drive and recovered them at one point, escorted them back to the pits. So I think they've probably been to the local dealer and found a Polaris front end and put in it.
Oh, wow, okay. It's a pretty serious commitment.
Borrowed one from the Paul Rowland's collection. But somehow they've got front drive back again and they're out on course circulating.
Yeah, so these guys are obviously sort of starting out a sequence. I can see a couple of other cars that were hoping to run still today, still in the pits. So
one or two on trailers. They're obviously just here for the sunny weather.
Well, that's it. I know some of the people who've retired. I think Duncan Smith was one of the retirees who just packed up and went home straight away.
It's not. Normally he would hang around, wouldn't he? Because he supports the sport. But I think he was a
little bit disgruntled.
Well, and I think because the car broke down so early in the weekend, I think that probably better to get home and spend the time sorting out the truck, finding out what happened. They lost reverse gear on the first qualifying lap.
Yeah, to the detriment of the fence by the finish line, we noticed.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So here we go, coming on the feed here. This is the SJ-bodied Polaris that we're just talking about. So Chris Kelly driving, Paul Bass co-driving. As we're saying, Paul Bass, a real stalwart of the challenge scene, Challenger 4x4 for many years.
Yeah, back in the day when a chap called Paul Pete was organising the Optima Challenge Trophy Series. We didn't have the luxury of huge sites like this.
Well, I was 10, 12 years ago. They were the other British team competing in Croatia when we were racing over there.
Were they?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah.
3 laps so far for these guys. They picked up a couple of penalties, which means they must have missed some punches along the way as well. Unlikely to make the 150, but still out here and still obviously running. So as you said, it's big repairs overnight. They've managed to find spares from somewhere.
Most of the day yesterday, I think. I mean, they definitely didn't bring the spares, so they had to go and find them from somewhere.
I would imagine that thing's running a little bit of weight compared to a standard Polaris. Push a bit load on the drivetrain.
Paul in there, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. I didn't mean the body. I think SJ body's quite light, really.
His body. He's a big chap.
Well, both good sized jets.
Yeah, big personalities too.
Right, well, that's all the cars off the line here. So
looks like Nobby's done his flag waving for the morning.
Thanks very much for talking to us.
It's a pleasure.
Oh, here we go. So, sorry, Ed, we've got some more questions for you. Right. Okay, what do you reckon of the footage? Have you seen any of the lives? You watched it back in the hotel room last night?
I have seen some of it. It's spectacular. The drone footage always impresses me. Really great. And the fact you guys are out on course, the photographers, out there all the time, it makes it such good value for the competitors to be able to see themselves as well, doesn't it?
Well, that's it. We get a lot of feedback from the guys how much they love seeing themselves on camera when they've had an incident or accident or a struggle, seeing it from those different angles.
Absolutely.
They just love
the following on social media, staggering numbers. Really great exposure.
Views, I think, pre-qualifying feed now.
And over 10,000 followers on Facebook, Nobby was saying yesterday, which is a brilliant achievement. I mean, really big numbers.
Well, considering it's a bit of a niche interest motorsport, really, isn't it? Yeah. It's not like circuit racing or
and spectators can come, but of course you've got to walk a long way. You've got to be prepared to commit to come out to these remote sites. We need to get away from the population so that we're not bothering people with noise and stuff like that.
Exactly. I saw 20 spectators up in the middle of the site yesterday, and that's probably 3 or 4k walk from the pits, definitely 500 metres of altitude. So some serious effort to get up there.
But the coverage is brilliant, and the fact that a course like this does give such a huge variety of different opportunities for filming. You've got the fast open, the big hill climbs over there, spectacular. Seeing the cars with big rooster tails out the back of them, and then obviously other cars doing really well, navigating their ways around the trees to get the punches in and out of the bogs as well. I mean, I think filming cars in these deep bogs is always good.
Well, that's it. I think we've got a couple of guys out on site. We've got some feeds on the live feed at the moment of car 15 in one of those bogs you're talking about.
Really? Yeah, well, sometimes they can be there for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. And our guys are in there wading knee deep in the mud next to the car.
Yeah.
So trying to stay.
Here's Mark Dean, finished his lap.
So that's the first finisher coming back. So he must have put a hot lap round.
Wow, and a punch.
32-minute lap.
Yeah. And a punch. And the car's wet, so he's found some water out on course.
Yeah, just goes to show that despite the sunshine and the drying ground out here, there's definitely some wet bits to be.
There are areas that have broken through the surface, definitely, and are particularly boggy.
So just to show there that they hand in their punch cards every single lap to check what punches they get each individual lap. But the other thing that the organisers are saying is it keeps the punch cards clean, so they can actually see what's been punched and what hasn't.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
These events of old, if you were keeping a punch card for 2 days, it could be torn apart, soaking wet.
Yeah, fairly legible. And here's a testament to the reliability of this car. I don't think Mark has been back into the pits in between that form this weekend. He's been running really well.
Yeah. So we can see on AD cam on our live feed at the moment, lots of smoke, lots of mud. He's definitely one of the better sections. The car's really lined up to do straight into a following second lap this morning.
Hydraulics went running, so to see what punch they got yesterday.
So that again,
So his co-driver walked the course last night, but there was 2 punches down, so he knew exactly where to go.
right, so they've gone straight in for the
So he
punches.
got it
they're
straight
missing.
into the ones they missed, so he can go back now and so yeah.
Oh, so he's now back to the start. He's reset on his punches.
He's probably got one more to go in another zone, maybe.
No, he's just confirmed now. He just finished all 30 punches. He's picked 2 up now coming in.
So that's Mark Dean, number 3. He's got all 30 punches, so he can now start again. So he can put in some real hot laps now.
Probably worked out last night. He wrote it probably. Some good co-drivers will write down number 1, number 3, and number 5 are easy punches. We go for them, so we can just park up, punch and go. Whereas some of the less experienced teams will just go for anything and then work out. They're in a whole world of pain for however long. When if they just stop, think a little bit more forward thinking of it.
Yeah, we were just talking about a few minutes ago that some of these punches you can get in sort of 2 or 3 minutes, and some of them can be taking 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So that kind of planning is really going to save them time over the next few laps.
Absolutely, and there's a few punches which you can literally just drive to. It's more the fact of finding them, and then your co-driver and you as a team, two people in the team remembering where the punch is.
That's it, because a lot of these wet bits and trees all look the same once you're coming at them at about 30 miles an hour.
Let's look at, from 10 laps, or the terrain has altered so much over the last 24 hours. How much, where the ruts have changed, some bits which you think will be easier have got harder, some bits which you think that's going to be a nightmare, and it's dried out and it's been a doddle.
We were saying a few minutes ago, Bluebell Hill that we can see over in the distance here started off undrivable, and as the slippery surface has been cut off it, now there's cars going up with rooster tails out the back. They've got so much grip.
Let's go back to last year, Punch Area 1, we thought that was a simple drive-in, drive-out. Punch Area 2 we thought would be okay, Punch Area 3 would be hell. Punch Area 1 last year ended up like a song. Yeah. It was up to the door tops.
Rolling over in the depth of the ruts.
Yeah, exactly. Punch Area 3 was just a lot quicker driven. Another finisher, we've got Will Webster.
Is that Will Webster?
Yeah, so he's cut out. He's overtaken 2, I think. So he's starting off 4th this morning.
Yeah, started 4th on the line now, Will Webster, and he's come in second car, so he's obviously overtaken a few. And be interested to see whether he's got the punches.
These punches are attached to a cable on the dashboard of the vehicle, aren't they? And I noticed yesterday, depending on the size of the car, a punch that looks relatively easy or is relatively easy for a smaller car. I noticed Mark yesterday trying to get to a punch that was attached to a rock on a side slope, and of course every time he manoeuvred the vehicle up to it, it was just tipping too far away for the punch to reach the like a bus conductor punch attached to
I
the
saw that. Because the organisers make sure that these cables basically come out the dashboard, out the window the same distance. But if you've got a car that's got a foot of tyre out the side of the frame, it's going to be a lot harder.
When they made the cables for punches, a pegboard, and they are suspended sealer wires, and I literally make one up, stretch one like that, so I know that it's going together. I know that every cable is exactly the same size, so it all depends on the vehicle. We always ask for it to be on what would be the rear side, left side.
Yeah, because some cars are.
Some people go back into the car and see that built like those drive cars. When a winch challenge, you winch, all drivers don't winch up, then normally come back and punch the car.
Oh, so the driver then can punch it because he's on the left.
Challenge was really, really strong.
That's Alpha Fab drive back. It passed us in a left-hand drive car. So those guys out then, I guess, are they retired off the course?
Conventional has happened. Will Webster, good challenge driver, one of the event sponsors, good winch.
And straight back in for a hot lap as well.
Straight back in, you know, he knows exactly, he's got some tactics of how he wants his race to go.
Yeah, and when we talk about reliability of cars as well, to have the confidence in your machine to get straight back out there, pushing the mileage to try and get that 150k at the end of the day.
Yeah, so Will's an old hand at it. He's been here, he's done it. The 150 is known for very high attrition rate, and he's come prepared for it.
Yeah, exactly. And, to be honest, that's what people come for. They don't come for an easy weekend out, do they?
Yeah. And I've known Will Webster for, I don't know, even back when I had hair. And
how long ago was that? I don't remember that.
Thanks, mate. And
it's a club.
Yeah.
Makes you guys faster now. Yeah.
Evolve and how he's just been here and he's never done a 150 until now. He's done loads of streams.
Yeah. Come three over there.
He's absolutely 150.
Well, I can't say it obviously live on here once.
Okay.
Didn't use those words.
Right. Yeah, as we were explaining about Dave Needham, it didn't always use the same words we were able to use on the live.
No. So he is out for his cap.
Excellent. Well, let's hope he got it. Was it 9 laps yesterday for Will? Or was he on 10? I can't remember.
I don't know. I mean, I think it might be 9.
Let's see if our director team can confirm.
Yeah. So I think it was 9 laps he done.
Okay, so he's in a real good position to get the 150 today and get a decent number of punches. Then.
Yeah, so the top cars were done 10 laps. They've only got to do 4. So Anthony Waterfield, so they've been overtaken.
Yeah, I think they were a 10-lapper, weren't they? I think.
Yeah, they were 10-lapper. They were the only team to get 30 punches yesterday.
Yeah, there you go. So they were actually finished second on time with all 30 punches.
Yeah, but that is their winch challenge car, not their speed car.
Yeah, but that's what I like. Lining up the line there, you've got a big V8 powered car out first, and then straight in behind with a diesel car and a side-by-side.
Yeah, so last year they entered in a speed car, but they decided to come back in a challenge car and have a go at it.
Okay, so they're going the other way around this year. Yeah, but it's the tactics has worked out to get 30 punches and still be second on time.
Yeah, so Anthony is more of a speed driver, whereas Ryan is a challenge driver. They're both very good. They can both drive. They can both co-drive. They are a very, very strong team.
The thing is that I think when you've got someone who can both drive and co-drive, the understanding of how to put the car, how to direct the driver, what the co-driver can achieve.
And there's no
just that pair.
Use that trick because they can both do the same role. They know where to put the rope. They know what tree to go for. They know whether it's to go for a long pull or a short pull.
Left hand pull to pull you up or whatever. Yeah,
they are
that's got to speed up.
Very good team.
I saw these guys in a couple of the sort of challenge sections yesterday, and it was very, very slick, very well oiled. The way they can position the car and pull the car into the punch, and as Ed mentioned, it's very difficult to get the car, car of that kind of size hard in against some of the punches.
They commented yesterday, you reckon the punches are too easy for them.
Really? Yeah. I should imagine some of the other competitors probably disagree with them. I would have thought.
Mark Dean's co-driver went, the 2 we couldn't get were really, really hard, and he said it. And for him, but then again, they're a speed team.
Yeah, different trucks, different skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just hearing. Yeah, they're now going up Bluebell Hill now. Mark Dean's V8 crying in the background going up Bluebell Hill.
And even yesterday we were watching, it was 3 TD5s. There's different tyre sizes, different gearing. I think they had the same tune, but it's surprising how one car can just start off quick and then they were just picking each other off, and then one had more legs, more top ends, and it was just so good to see.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. We did a bit of course setting out on Thursday with Doogie, and he was specifically in wider sections of course to make sure there's places where people can pass. So you don't have competitors pulling over. All right, so this is 33 coming in for a hot second lap. Meanwhile, behind them, we've got 22 coming in for a late start. Now, these are the guys we were talking about earlier who are out on their first event. Seem to be loving it, enjoying it. Just wait for 33 to start. Falling off the edge, Ed. So that's 33 away for their second hot lap of the day. Meanwhile, 22 come in. Late start, obviously some last minute car prep. Let's just go and say hello to these guys. Morning, guys.
Morning.
Yeah, we were talking yesterday. Bit of last minute prep this morning, was it?
Yeah, a little bit. We just had to get a bit more done.
Right.
But we're ready to go.
Good to see you on the line.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Hopefully someone can't flag you away in a minute, but
Yeah.
what's happening? Do these boys need flagging away, Nobby, or are they good to go? Right, well, just go and say, right, good luck. Hope it all holds together and have fun.
Yeah, we'll see. Cheers. Thank you.
Right, so there they go. Yeah, as we were saying, great to see some new teams, great to see some fresh blood in the sport. Those guys are still smiling after working all night and all morning. They're out, back on course, so yeah, great to see. Yeah, TDI powered car, that one. So definitely one of the sort of lower powered machines out here. So that's all cars away for the day, and we've got 3 cars on the second lap. Close up.
So, Rich, just seen the start.
Yeah, so that's all cars away.
So that's all the cars away. What we'll think
We'll
we'll
see
do.
how many we still got running and how many are out now. So I think at that point it's probably sensible to wrap up the live. We'll be out for another live later on, probably later this morning. We'll probably relocate our media team up to the top of the site.
Yeah, it was good yesterday. We had a nice open pitch, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the sun's shining today, which make it a lot nicer. It was a little bit sort of wet and cold up there yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, gorgeous day here today. So please tune in later and we'll see how the team's getting.
Perfect, everybody. See you guys all later. We just watched the last lot of finishes coming
So
over
we
the
can hear
line
someone
here.
coming in here now.
So these guys are just finishing their first lap, but we'll also finish the live here.
So that's wrapping up the live feed here from the Welsh 150 in association with Terra Firma. And we'll see you all later on. Please tune in when we go live. We'll put the time up on the Facebook when our next live session is going to be, so you guys can get ready and make sure you've got sat down to watch. Woo. About to close their car 18, the G-Wagon, police machine. Going back in for their second hot lap. I think it's loud. And Nick Bolt coming in for a hot lap as well.
These guys are pushing hard to get the pointers in today. I mean, they don't have time to be these guys have got 6 laps remaining. We've only got about 4 or 5 hours left of running to go. You guys mentioned that they're running the older style tyres, Max's Trekkador tyres, and they're struggling compared to some of the new Munson Trek equipped cars. Quite interesting because these tyres were the tyres to have for a while. And these guys yesterday got their last lap in literally with seconds to go. So pushing hard to get the, as Robbie says it, to get the 150 cap, which is quite an accolade in this form of off-roading. Right, we're going to wrap up the live feed there. Sorry, we're going to go to close a few minutes ago.
Tactical off-road racing.